too, just kind of drinking hot weather and just trying to take or sorry,
You're
I
drinking
said
hot
hot
weather.
weather. Hot water.
You in Kauai right now or something?
Yeah,
I want to drink some hot weather.
some hot water.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Real Talk by Our Stories Your Legacy. Today we're continuing our 19th episode in our Rona series. And this episode today we're going to talk about a little bit about mental health, a little bit about our habits and our hobbies, and how that keeps us going, especially during these times of pandemic. But before we get into it, we're going to jump around the horn. Tyler, how you doing today?
Doing all right, man. Today's been kind of a weird day. Been a long day. Been on the road a lot. Probably for at least three and a half hours of the day. My work day was on the road. Others were in meetings. So kind of feeling a little kind of just under the weather type of way. I don't know if it's dehydration or what. Just have a headache. It's kind of tired. Scratchy, dry throat. So don't think it's COVID. Haven't really done anything COVID.
Hopefully not, man.
Nothing COVID worthy. It's just one of those things. Taking precautions. Took all my vitamin C, drank some tea, all that. Feeling a little better now. I think I took a quick nap before dinner, so it helped out a little bit. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, sending you positive vibes and healthy vibes over your way, man. Hope you feel better soon.
Appreciate it.
Savan, how you doing today?
Doing all right. Same shit. Another day. I have no comment, man. You guys keep asking me the same question, and it's like I'm just gonna say the same answer because it's the truth.
So. I'm going to keep asking, and hopefully in hopes of getting a different answer one of these days. And when we record it, it'll be a mark in history.
Maybe it'll be like post working from home, post COVID, the world may never know when that'll end or that'll happen.
But we'll be here to capture it. That's all that matters. All right, Steven, how you doing?
What's up, man? No, I'm pretty good. Just kind of like Tyler. I think here in Washington is the first cold weather, and I think that's just kind of been impacting our inner balance, our inner chemistry. So I feel a little better, but had some hot soup. Just threw some veggies together and some mushroom seasoning, and so just made like a hearty vegetable soup, and yeah, just kind of like Tyler too, just kind of drinking hot weather and just trying to take I said hot weather. Hot water.
You in Kauai right now or something? I want to drink some hot weather.
Some hot water, imagining hot weather. And so but no, I feel a little better, and just staying hydrated. And just keeping myself protected, like by wearing like a hoodie, even though like it's pretty warm in the house, but just making sure I keep myself safe, because it's weird, kind of like Tyler mentioned it. It's like you hate to say it nowadays because we're in a pandemic. It's like is there even like a typical cold anymore? It's like everything we feel that we used to feel like a regular typical sickness. Is it like, oh man, hope it's not COVID or anything like that?
It's just really confusing time, honestly.
Yeah, so it puts us all on edge, but I feel good. I'm ready to rock. Always good to have this mental exercise with the brothers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's good.
You woke up and had like a little sniffle, and it's like, oh God, I'm gonna die. I have COVID. It's one of those things.
Right.
Just the time we're in, it's like, oh God, I have a scratchy throat.
Yeah.
Do I have COVID? Am I gonna die in 2 weeks? Like what?
I know.
You'll get my nose swabbed.
What's happening?
I know.
Testing facility that I can just have something probe my brain.
Right. I mean, I hate having that feeling, but that's kind of the world we're in.
Have any of you had a COVID test done yet?
Yeah. I had it done twice.
Yeah, it is. It makes you cry. They say stick it up all the way there, and you're like, swirl. 1, 2, 3. I'm like, no, I'm done. Here, you only get 7 seconds out of me.
I wish I can just cry, because when I do it, I always have to pull it out and take a break because I have to sneeze every time.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
guys
that
get
too.
that
It's,
too?
it's like it's
Yeah.
like sniffling black pepper.
Yeah, like I always the first time I ever took the test, it was one of the self-administer tests,
Yeah.
and like I was like sneezing so uncontrollably, and I was like laughing at the same time, and I would look at the pharmacist through the glass, and I was just like laughing at him. I'm like, "Yo, is this normal?" And he's like, "Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it."
No, you're fine. Did you give me the
Yeah,
right swab?
yeah, that's the only thing I hate. Like I would rather cry than um like sneeze because it's like one of those uncontrollable sneeze, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, just have them give you the new thing. I mean, they haven't rolled it out officially to all the places, but like when you do blood test, real just a quick pinch for diabetes type of thing.
Oh, they've done that. They started releasing that already.
Yeah, they were talking about it. So just a little prick, get your blood. You'll have your results in 15 to 20 minutes. Much better than
Oh yeah, the rapid testing, the Abbott's
Yeah.
or whatever they're called.
Yeah. So I mean, once that comes out, like, yeah, go ahead. That's fine. Take a little prick on my finger. I'd rather have that than have someone shove the dang thing up my nose again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Sucks.
uncomfortable.
yeah. Well, the one that I go to is just self-administered. So
Yeah.
because it's the quickest one that we know, there's no lines and we could always get fast results.
Yeah.
So we just go to it. And so I went to it twice already.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get started with our conversation for today. So, as you know, it's November what 8th? Yeah, November 8th here. 9th. Oof,
Eighth.
my days are starting to blur together. But for me, honestly,
Or,
for the
or
people
if
out
you're
there,
listening to this, it's the 15th or whatever the date is.
November is just one of those weird months. People say it's October, but I really think November is really that change of leaf where Halloween just ended. You can start playing Thanksgiving music, Christmas sales are going on, you got Veterans Day, and on top of that, like your months just become shorter because of all the holidays and everything. So November is really just a weird time. And good little segue into the topic is in these crazy times, on top of pandemic, on top of going into the holiday season, I wanted to talk about habits and hobbies that you either do to build to your success or do to cope with the stressors of life, whether it be decompressing, or meditating emotionally, physically, kind of little hobbies that you do on a regular basis. So first question on the table on deck is, what things do you do that bring you joy, help you decompress, but also help you work towards your goals? Follow on question, how are you keeping up with those habits and hobbies with the pandemic, and how has it helped? So this is kind of I would want to say part two of one of our earlier series when we did talk when Corona first came out, and we were talking about things to keep you busy, things to keep your mind going during the pandemic. So just want to kind of reiterate that, check in on that, see how hash things out. So let's start with Steven. How are you doing? How
Good,
how do
man.
you feel about that first question?
Remind me the first question again. It's
All
pretty quick.
right. What things do you do that bring you joy or help you decompress, but also helps you work towards your goals? Kind of a
Yeah,
three-stack loaded question.
yeah. The main thing that I hear from that is kind of like what kind of habits that I do that kind of gets me out of a funk, or at least try to help me de-stress, and ultimately brings me happiness, or at least is a building block for my happiness. So yeah, that's a great question, man, because I'm not gonna lie, it's especially here in Washington, you get some form of what we like to call seasonal depression, or some kind of a this time of month is just a weird time for us to um we get less sunlight, it's colder, as much as I love the fall and the winter time, the holiday time is my favorite time of year. But especially in a pandemic, it's sometimes hard to think positive. But things that I do that I try to revert to is always going back to my base goals. The base goals that I have is, you know, even if it's like a little bit of uh, doing yoga stretches, or like just little tiny workouts, like I don't know, um, doing some curls, or just doing some push-ups, and like or doing some ab workouts, just to kind of like little mental stretches to kind of get me moving, or it's another big thing is reading. I always tend to be in a funk, no matter the weather or no matter the time of year, if I don't meet my goal of at least reading, 20 pages to a chapter a day. And so, if I miss a few days, I feel like I kind of miss out on that, and it kind of it creates a little funk for me. But reading is huge. And lately, I think this question came at a great time, because one thing that I've been struggling with, and as you guys, my brothers know, I love to write, but it I hate to say it, but I've been on a what do you call it, like a writer's block for almost, I want to say almost 2 years, man. It feels like 2 years and counting. And and just as recent as like last week, I decided to, you know what, start writing again, no matter what it is, whether it's just journaling, like a diary, just how my day is, um, or just writing some rhymes, or like a poem, or just writing just a little something, something. And this time I'm physically writing it, because there's always that age old advice that when you start writing physically, pen to paper, it kind of like exercises your mind and your creativity more. And so, I always been a big fan of writing electronically, like on my phone or, on the computer, just because I could like get my thoughts out quicker, because my fingers go faster than my penmanship. But I just kind of like forced the habit, like, you know what, let's de-stress, let's get back into a good habit of something that always brought me joy, and that was to write. And so so as you guys know, I'm not, I'm fairly, I would like to say I'm fairly athletic, but I am not, but I'm getting older and I don't work out as much as I used to. That's why I just tend to do more food diets. But if I had to pick out of the three I mentioned, the two things that carry me on, in terms of habits and make me happy and make me de-stress, is reading and writing. And those are the goals that I try to set every day.
And how do those help? How do what reading and writing, like how does that attribute to goals for yourself, or goals that
Yeah, man.
you set up for your
Yeah,
pursuit?
yeah. Reading, for example, I like to read a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, you know me, Drew, like I'm always big on financial help, self-help, self-awareness type books, psychology type books. Um, so for me, that's kind of like a way that I'm mentally exercising my mind. And so from the stress of work, or things that are just stressors in your life, whether it's a relationship with, your significant other, your friends, or your family, or just things that like you just want to be a homebody and be alone. When I start reading those type of books, I feel joy, because I know that I'm mentally like building myself up, like I'm mentally growing, because I'm learning something new, or I'm learning some skill from those type of books. On the flip side, just like anything from work to studying in school, you get burned out sometimes. So then sometimes I switch the topic and read fictional stories, and so right there, it's like another mental exercise that kind of gets you creative and imaginative. So like it's kind of like a getaway, kind of the same way that maybe people could sit in front of a TV and just watch, like binge watch shows. Personally, for me, I feel like it's mental, like it works your mental more when you're actually like reading the words on the page and imagining it. And so that's kind of like another de-stressor. For writing, I'm just getting back into it again. When I used to write before my writer's block the past couple of years, I used to write because I had a goal. Like I wanted to create a poetry book, or a collection of books, or I wanted to write a story. So it was kind of like, it was just a talent that I had. But ever since I had the writer's block, I realized it probably attributed to like a lot of stress. So when I started picking it up as of like last week, just starting writing whatever, like literally once a day, just write maybe half a page even of how I'm feeling today. I started to realize, like, instead of honing my stressful thoughts in, or negative thoughts in, I realized getting it out on paper really release some of that stress. Like my notebook kind of became like a sounding board or something that I can like physically rip the stress or the negative emotion out of my head, out of my heart, and like put it on paper. And that's where it lives now, and I can move on with my day. Easier said than done, but that's kind of how I feel lately, where I'm like, if I'm feeling a little stressed, I'm like, you know what? Open up that notebook and just start writing whatever comes to mind. And it feels good. My hand cramps though, because it's been a while since I write with a pen. Besides signing checks or whatever, or signing like a bill. But like when you're writing now with a page, man, either I need to find a new pen or it's been a very long time since I wrote. But yeah, thanks for asking that, man.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Steven. Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
Savan, how about you, man? What brings you joy, brother?
At least during this whole entire pandemic, which is pretty much hitting like 8 months now, I just continue to do the same things like writing and producing music, or just scripting out YouTube videos and other side media projects that I've had going on past couple years. Like, I actually wrote and produced one song at the start of this whole pandemic and lockdown. It was all in one weekend. It was I don't know if some of you guys heard it, but Fix Your BS. Literally, everything just clicked. Like as soon as lockdown hit, I don't know what happened, but I was able to just focus on writing the song and producing it without any distractions or any anything to detract me from just doing the thing. And it just felt organic. It was awesome. Like I was actually listening to the song earlier today. I was like, wow, I can't believe how long it's been since like I released it. So yeah, stuff like that. Still writing up new stuff, but it's been a slower process. I've just been chipping away at it. Honestly, just lost the drive over time. The longer I worked from home and just stayed stayed in quarantine like everyone else, it just kind of deteriorated over time. But like I said, I still chip at it from time to time. I still try to come up with new material every now and then. Aside from that, just been reading, watching documentaries, while listening to podcasts, and gaining inspiration from whatever source material I can. And essentially that's been it, really. It's just educating myself over the past couple of months and trying to cope with whatever's going on in the world, just taking it day by day and taking it as is, but also not taking life for granted. Because as I mentioned in previous episodes of our Rona series, like going into the lockdown and being socially distant from people, at least for me, opened my eyes to not take life for granted. And that, but at the same time, like it's happened. You can't stop it. It's beyond your control. So you take it day by day and just hope things get better down the road. So, I mean, there's that. Nothing much to it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what 2021 has in store for all of us. So, yeah.
Hopefully, better things are to come, right?
That's the hope.
Tyler, nice, yeah, right? Jeez, I don't know what's gonna happen in 2021. I tell you what, I'm gonna be gone. How about that?
I know, man. Another side of the world, man. But yeah, man, yeah.
Something like that.
Hopefully, good fortune comes for you on the other side of the world, man. We'll be waiting for you over here.
Yeah. Tyler, then I got a follow-up question for everyone that I just came up with. But go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, no, I know it's one of those things. At this point in the year, I think kind of Stephen touched on it. It's just that time of the year where you wake up and it's like 24 degrees outside. It's dark. Do anything, and have to go outside, get the mail, do whatever. It's just different, just because you're not going to work every day physically. If you are working from home, for those who are still going into work, at least you still have a little bit of a routine. But yeah, it's just one of those times of the year where it's a little bit more dreary and miserable type of weather. I actually enjoy the weather when it's a little bit colder. Makes it easier to run and all that stuff. But even that, I think that's typically something that would, I don't know, bring me joy around this time of year. I think I'm just kind of just mentally checked out of everything at this point. With those types of things, I think both Steven and Zavon touched on it, to just kind of finding motivation, just having motivation at certain random times. And then when you have that random motivation, just kind of leap onto it and just, go with it and just do it. Just because it's been one of those times where things are pretty much the same, like just literally the same shit, like every day kind of thing. So for like working out purposes, I know that's something that I usually do, bringing me joy. I don't work out as much right now. I feel like I've read a lot of books. I've done a lot of that, listened to a lot of podcasts, trying to find inspiration in a lot of things. But it's one of those things. I think being 8 months into this thing now, it's like, all right, I need to find new outlets to like spark my creative interest, or just, really help me kind of find like a new interest, new joy, that kind of thing. Video games have definitely kind of, slowed down a little bit, but I've, started picking it up again. Started playing Pokemon Sword again. I didn't get enough hours into that game when I first got it. I play the seasonal updates on Animal Crossing, just those kind of things. It's just one of those things. Like I don't know. There's not a whole lot going on right now to where it's like, yep, this is my joy process kind of thing. How do we maintain it? I did a lot of stuff towards the beginning of things when it was like more dead. I don't know. It's a weird thing to talk about right now, just because I think a lot of people have stopped caring about the pandemic, even though there's still a pandemic happening, which is why we've seen spikes across the country, rather, of new cases per day. I know Washington, Pierce, Snohomish, and King County have all been bringing in 1,000 new cases every day for the last 4 days. There's most likely going to be a shutdown again of things, which is going to anger a lot of people. I'm interested to see how that looks, how that goes. But I think it's kind of inevitable at this point when we've seen so many things happen. A lot of that has been based around election time and all of that. So a lot of people were not putting out like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, because they, it was one of those things that they weren't sure they were going to get reelected, whatever it may be, whether it's the mayor, the governor, whatever, president, whatever that is. So we've seen a number of spike in new cases, or a number of new cases spike in the last week, 2 weeks now. So I think the US topped can't remember the specific number, but it's more than some countries in the world have got total over the 8 months. So it's a little insane. I foresee in the near future, probably a lockdown. What that looks like for holiday shopping, whatever that may be, it's probably going to be all online again. I know some stores have already said we're not doing Black Friday in store. It's only online. There'll still be deals, but it's all online based now, which going to crash servers. People are still going to be upset. So whatever. That's just that mindset of things. Maybe we'll do a virtual cars hangout thing on Black Friday. We normally, for those of you listening, our family, our brothers and all that stuff, we meet up on Black Friday morning for breakfast. We don't know if we're going to do that this year. Probably do it virtually. We'll just grab breakfast and just hop on a Zoom call. I don't know. We have to discuss that. See if that's a thing. That's something that brings me joy. I don't know. That's something I look forward to every year. Small things, man. Small things. Not necessarily going out to buy stuff. It's spending time with all you guys. So
yeah, I had to say that you know, how I answered the question was more of like the goals that I've always had, even pre-pandemic. But I wanted to touch on what you and Zavon brought up, which was more of the how, you know, the habits and the hobbies we tend to have, like the pandemic just kind of sometimes created a making it feel dull and dreary sometimes, and it's like we struggle to find new inspiration. I wanted to touch on that because, like, pre-pandemic, I was reading, like, nonfiction books nonstop. Like, it was just my thing. I would go to half price books, buy some new ones, and just stack up my pile. But you guys heard that I started reading more fiction books now, because it's like, you like, during the pandemic, it's like sometimes I just want to get away, and by getting away is like reading more like fictional stories where you could just live someone else's life for a bit, or see someone else's perspective for a bit, in an imaginative world, or something else, um, and it's it's interesting that you guys said that, because yeah, like we mentioned in previous episodes, sometimes, and Zvon is says it really well. It's like the burnout is real, like, it's just one of those things where I feel the habits are still there, you're still working on it, but it's just like, man, um, we need something new. And so who knows, maybe the new year will bring that, but right now it's like, um, sometimes you kind of lose inspiration a little bit.
So how do you keep going forward? What makes you keep going? You know what I mean? What's your driving factor when you have nothing left to do? And I kind of wanted to gear it this way, when, especially because of Movember, and from our last episode, is really what does keep you going and really bring you that, innate sense of joy. Because we can't
Yeah,
do it for
yeah,
all, like, the materialistic stuff. But what's your why?
yeah. I mean, what keeps me going? I mean, that's, yeah, for myself. Um, uh, Honestly, yeah, probably big picture wise is the hope that I still have for the future. Like, personally, for me, like, my dreams, my goals, whether that is my wealth building goals, whether that is my family goals, personal goals for myself, whether that is like I want to lose a certain weight, or I want to be able to know this much knowledge that I've been working at, like reading this much books to gaining that skill, or owning properties, or and then so the hope for the future, like regardless where the pandemic is, I'm still working towards that dream, and I think holding on to that dream, that is still in the near or far future, is what keeps me going. It's like, yes, even though it seems like literally things around me may be falling down or falling apart, or more stressful than before, I think the why is continuing to visualize that future goal, that I set for myself, and that I can still do it no matter what. I think that is the biggest thing that keeps me going. And so, again, like I was mentioning before, um, part of my daily habits, daily rituals, or I'll have a funk, is to like read and write every day. Even if I have to just get out one page of reading, or even if I have to just literally write one sentence, like I got to keep that habit going. And even though I might be uninspired at that time, I think setting little habits and little goals for myself daily keeps me going, keeps me feeling accomplished, no matter how small. I think that's what keeps me going, along with my big picture stuff, is having those little wins every day. And no matter how uninspired I feel, is, hey, feeling accomplished and getting goals done.
How about you, Savon? What keeps you going? What keeps you awake at night? And what's your why, man? The big life answer or question.
Well, for me, it's just always trying to find ways to improve myself every day, whether that's just like doing research, learning something new, teaching myself a new skill, uh, gaining new knowledge, whatever that may be. at least during these times. Before COVID, it would just be like simply connecting with folks or seeing the same folks that I work with or see in the gym and just gaining something new from them. And at least these days, during the whole restrictions and staying at home and being quarantined and whatnot, the stripping of our freedoms is, we got to find ways to connect online and the virtual world, at least, and to do our research. But it's also a double-edged sword, right? Because along with like the burnout with like Zoom fatigue or screen fatigue, for us staring at a screen 8+ hours a day, it's tough to keep going. It really is. It's taxing on us physically, mentally, emotionally, socially in some aspect. It's tough. And I mentioned, I think it was the previous episode. I'm sure I mentioned it at least then or a couple episodes back, but I understand why folks are really pushing back against restrictions. I really do. Can't say whether like I agree with it or I would do the same thing. It's just like I totally understand 100% that you can be safe, but doesn't mean you're free. And to be human is not to sit in front of a computer all day. That's just ridiculous, at least in my opinion and my philosophy. But aside from that side of cynicism, like I said, I try to do my best to keep up. I try my best to at least plan for the future and continue to introspect, learn more about myself. I actually learned a lot about myself during these past couple of months, these past 8 months. And being at home taking care of mom, we actually both learned a lot about each other, like a lot. And that's something, I really do appreciate, turning to the more positive side of or at least a silver lining these past couple months and being quarantined is that, growing up, my mom and I, we never actually got a chance to spend as much time together because she would leave me with a babysitter and she would go out and work her ass off like 8+ hours a day, usually overtime. So 10+ hours. And at least the past couple months, like mom and I, we learned so much. Like I learned like how much of or how we both lack a filter, but in different ways, if that makes sense. Like there are things where she doesn't filter herself about, and there are things I don't filter myself about. She's more extroverted. I'm a lot more introverted. And I can see why I'm introverted because she usually does all the talking and she's like the loudest person in our family, like all Asian moms are. But, it's those things I appreciate. And that's what keeps me going. Like I always remember that I got my mom to take care of. I got my whole life ahead of me and that I gotta work with what I got right now. As much as like I can complain about the fatigue and whatnot, I just take it day by day and I just keep pushing myself to move forward. And yeah, like I said, we'll see once post COVID comes, whenever that is. And hopefully it's just hopefully all this force against the gate, as soon as that gate opens, hopefully that force will just be a perpetual motion engine that just all that momentum will just push me forward, and I'll be more inspired and motivated than ever because we'll be given our freedom back. So yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot for sharing. Tyler, you got anything? What keeps you going?
I think what keeps me going is just seeing. I don't know. It's not necessarily seeing. It's more imagining what the future will look like at this point. I think everyone is kind of in the same rut right now with just kind of being where we're at, honestly. Kind of like Zavon said, I don't think a lot of us aren't meant to just sit in front of computer screens all day and all that, and it's taking a toll on people. So yeah, I totally get it. I totally get why people are going out and just like, screw masks, screw, socially distancing and whatnot, and they want to have that freedom back. But I get it. I totally get it. But whole pandemic thing too kind of sucks because you're a double-edged sword, really. It's just hard because I think for me, I have an idea and I have an image of what I want in life, what I want to, strive for and all of that. It's just, I know right now it's just all kind of mangled up because of where we're at. Like these other two guys, I've definitely, done a lot of self-reflecting, living with other people and like really kind of getting to know them a little bit more in a deeper level. Like you tend to get used to their like little antics, you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things that typically, like Zavon said, you go to work or you wake up, you go to work, whatever it might be, you really only see the people that you live with or whoever, friends or whatever. It may be, 4, 5, 6 hours of the day max. Typically that's usually, either really early for a very short amount of time or when you get home, and then it's kind of like eat dinner, talk to them a little bit, unwind, whatever it may be, and then kind of, repeat the same process every day. So the people you see the most are the people that you work with, typically. So being able to work from home, and by no means am I complaining that I'm working from home. Let me just get that clear. I'm very fortunate to have a job. I'm not complaining about that. I know there are a lot of people that still do not have jobs. It definitely is a little bit harder in what we do. Like I say, Zavon and myself mostly, because we work with students, and that's kind of what our thing is seeing students in person every day, working with them, seeing our coworkers, working with them, just kind of all of that stuff. There's a lot of interaction in that type of work that we're just not getting. And in the industry that we're kind of in too, with events and all of that stuff. So completely different. So I think it's a little crazy right now how things are going. Kind of lost my train of thought with where I was going with that, honestly, just because that's how kind of weird it is right now. Like I said, bring it back for a second, but yes, striving. I know what I want. Where we're at right now, it's a little hard, just because of how things are going. Things will get better. Things will get better for sure. It'll take time. And if we go back to the last pandemic or a couple pandemics, this is something, like I said in previous episodes, it's just repeating history. Honestly, it's going to take everybody to kind of realize like, okay, we've been doing this for a year and a half. We've been doing this for 2 years before stuff kind of normalizes, in quotes. Again, it's my foreseeable thing is that it's going to probably be one of those situations where we're going to be in this pandemic for as long as it takes to get a vaccine out. Honestly, that's the only way it's going to go away, is a vaccine, which they're working on. They're getting closer to one, but the mass production process and all of that's going to be the thing that takes time. So however long that takes, how affordable that will be, whatever, that's kind of the big thing. But like I said, I digress. What keeps me going is just seeing the end goal, seeing the big picture. There's going to be bumps in the road along your journey. There's going to be annoying bumps in the road along your journey. But it's just having the mindset to not give up there and just kind of keep going and make sure you kind of value what's at the end of the road. Yeah, there's going to be bullshit during the journey, in the middle of it. Just how we deal with it. You just gotta not get caught up in that moment and just kind of learn from it and keep going. It's a very long learning process right now, but everyone's going through it. So
yeah, I remember when
eyes on the
first
prize,
came
man.
up COVID. For sure. I remember when I first came on COVID orders, when we got our initial in brief and like mission assignments and everything, they first thing they said was it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. This whole thing's gonna be a marathon. You gotta take it one step at a time. And I really enjoyed everyone's points. And life does get hard, even if whether you are working from home. You guys, if our audience, if you guys don't know, Tyler, Stevan, and Steven both all work from home. But myself, I'm in the National Guard, so they've been moving me, last 6 months. And it the only thing that stayed the same was change, really, honestly. And just moving places, living out of hotels for like the last 7 months. It's not fun. You know what I mean? Dealing with being right in the pandemic. Um, but really, just taking it a day at a time, just one day, one foot forward. Um, I think the thing that keeps me going really is, you guys remember that movie Coach Carter
Mhm.
with the basketball team? Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah,
And
that's a good movie.
it was a scene. It was a scene where the team wouldn't play, and they were on like this like they shut down the gymnasium, and they didn't play because they all didn't pass. They required, everyone required to meet a certain grade requirement, and one of their teammates who was crucial to the team couldn't do it, so they wanted to make sure that they helped out their teammate and also played in the game. And so throughout the whole movie, Samuel Jackson is always saying like, "What is your deepest fear? What is your deepest fear?" And he's like, "Why are you asking me that? What do you mean? What am I afraid of? Spiders?" But I don't know. Like, what do you mean in the dark? I don't know what you're trying to get at, man. But the during the lockdown scene, it's actually from a poem from Marianne Williamson, and I put it in all of my social media bios, and it just goes, "Our deepest fear, is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are greater beyond measure. We are the light. You know what I mean?" And that that's what I think that keeps me going, is that I can be someone else's light. I can help save someone else's life or contribute to the community. That I'm built for a greater cause, whether it be giving out more good into the world rather than taking it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
plants too.
that's a
Plants
good
keep
one.
me going. That's my hobby, I guess, is plants too. I just started getting into it, and I will say it does fill your soul with something that you didn't think that was there or needed to be filled. Like
Mhm.
like
What's your,
really, it gives you. What's up?
I was gonna say, like, yeah, now that plants are kind of your new pandemic hobby, or not even like, but it started during the pandemic because everyone kind of a lot of new people started with plants.
Yeah.
After you talk about plants, we'd love to hear kind of your perspective on what habits you have pre-pandemic that you carried over during these times to kind of keep you going or keep you happy.
A lot of my stuff was really like working out, doing weird stuff. I really didn't have that many hobbies. If I'll be honest with you, I really didn't do much before the pandemic, and that was kind of a wake up call for me, to be honest. And I don't think I really realized that at the beginning when we first recorded, was that I didn't really know who I was. Kind of like Savan in his case, where everything kind of clicked for you during the pandemic, Savan. It kind of clicked for me too. It was for me. It was more of a like a left uppercut to the chin. You know that I needed to figure out what I liked and what I want, what I liked, what brought me really joy. And I really can't 100% say right now what brings me joy is, well, obviously taking care of a living object like a plant, or whether it be a pet, brings me joy. Putting things back together, like building. I built a few ARs over the pandemic,
Nice.
and going to the range and practicing, functional movements and functional, life-saving tactics, whether it be CPR, drawing, reloading, under fire, stuff like that, things that'll help me in life. And I didn't really realize I enjoyed that side of me, without the pandemic, to be honest.
Nice.
Like, I guess it just also helps me keep you grounded. You know what I mean? Because those hobbies turn into habits. Where you're adjusting your sleep schedule, or you have to go around a water schedule. Training. You know what I mean? How when people start carrying firearms or start getting into weapons, it's like, okay, what what functional use do I have for the things that I'm carrying? Does it make sense? Kind of like that Marie Kondo theme. Does it make sense? Does it bring me joy? Does it help does it fulfill my soul? And that's kind of, my mindset right now with, just how I approach life. Does it bring me happiness? Does it fill me up? Does it make sense?
Yeah. Those are all solid points. I mean, to recap it all, I mean, it's like, we all been close friends for a while. So it's one of those things where, we all kind of individually have these ways of reflecting on how we can make ourselves better. And overall, what I hear is like the pandemic kind of in a way inspired us to self-reflect and or reconnect with other things on a deeper level that makes us better spiritually, mentally as well.
Yeah, thanks for the summary, Stephen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Andrew. I think that's what I love about us is that all four of us just have a really great way of agreeing on the same points, but also at the same time, bringing like really different spiritual and individual perspectives. So we're going to end it today. Andrew, that was a great topic day, man. Appreciate you taking the lead on that. I think it got us all self-reflecting. I think I feel better just talking about it. So as always, for our listeners, visit our site. Take the same questions, ask it to yourself, talk about it with friends. Get yourself thinking about the topic, and always reach out to us if you have questions. Reaching out to us gives us a lot more inspiration to continue to have these topics and these conversations. So, as always, thank you for listening. Where our story is your legacy.